Hi, it's Tom from Edmagz. This is a tutorial about the Pangaea module, which is in both the biology and the geography sets. And here I have the pieces on the board. The continental pieces are in green here, and these smaller pieces are the fossil pieces, which are carried by the continents, as Alfred Wegener proposed in his initial hypothesis about what the movement of continents. So when you get the packet, you can place all the pieces on the board, and I'll go ahead and put them together as it's intended to look at the start. And if you give this to kids to do, it might take them a while to figure this out the way it originally went together, but that's also a good exercise to have them try to figure out how it starts. And that's what it looks like. I'll go ahead and place the fossils on the at the proper locations. So this first fossil, Cynonathus, that is a therapsid. It's a reptile mammal ancestor, and the Cynonathus lives in South America and Africa. That was its original range. By the way, there's color coding on here so you know where to put each fossil. And they went extinct a couple 100 million years ago while Pangaea was together. The next set is Mesosaurus. Mesosaurus was an aquatic reptile that lived in southern South America and Africa. And as you can see, that's its range. This is Glossopteris. Glossopteris is a fern, a fossilized fern. And all of these creatures went extinct roughly 200 million years ago before the breakup of Pangaea. And Glossopteris was found throughout the southern continents here, or the southern area of Pangaea. And then you have Lystrosaurus. Lystrosaurus was another therapsid, which is an ancestor of the mammals, a reptilian ancestor of the mammals. So it's something you could talk about if you're teaching during evolution. But its range was through Africa and India and Antarctica, parts of southern Pangaea. And so we have the fossils on there, and so this will show the kids how the fossils are carried to their current locations, showing that the continents were once together. Now, I'll just run through. There's a very detailed description of how the continent broke up and with dates on there and big events. I'll just go through it real fast. But the first thing you have about 200 million years ago, you have this breakup where the northern and southern parts of Pangaea come apart. And we now call this Laurasia, and this part here is Gondwana. There is an ocean, by the way, that surrounded Pangaea. It's called Panthalassa. And there's also a sea here that runs through between the continents, between Laurasia and Gondwana. It's called the Tethys Sea. And if you'd like, you could have kids take markers and label all these things on the whiteboard. That's a nice opportunity for them to do some writing and think about the words. So then around 180 million years ago, you had North America and Greenland break from Eurasia and start spreading out, starting what would become the Atlantic Ocean. Another 20 million years after that, Antarctica and India and Australia break apart from Africa. And so you form another kind of opening there. And then Africa will break off from South America and go off on its own. about 130 million years ago. And about 120 million years ago, India breaks off and goes out into the ocean and becomes an island. And South America, Antarctica, Australia stay together and move to the west a bit. And Eurasia and North America and Greenland are continually separating as this Atlantic Ocean gets larger. Then we have Australia breaking away from Antarctica about 75 million years ago. And Australia is going to kind of start turning counterclockwise, and it will eventually turn all the way to its present location, but that turning is just gradual. So Australia comes off, and South America, Antarctica continue to move. And then Greenland, about 55 million years ago, breaks off and goes out into the ocean kind of on its own, away from Canada there in North America. And then India comes in and slams into Eurasia about 45 million years ago, and that will produce the Himalayan mountain range. You can take a marker and you can draw on these magnets. They're plastic, so whatever you draw on them will erase and leave no marks. So you could draw the Himalayan mountain range if you'd like. Then Antarctica breaks away from South America about 35 million years ago and moves southward towards its present location in the South Pole. And Australia continues its movement. And then about 25 million years ago, Africa and Arabia break apart, forming the Red Sea. And finally, maybe 3 million years ago, we have a bridge, a land bridge form between North and South America. That's something you could draw in if you wanted to do that. And those became connected, and there was a great biotic interchange between organisms, especially different types of mammals going from South America to North America and vice versa when that land bridge occurred. So this is the final structure, and we have these not only in the teacher sets, which you can see kind of from the back of the classroom, but we also have student sets, which are smaller versions, which I have right here. And you can see a comparison of the size. Student sets are smaller sets that the kids can use at their desks, and if you would like to do it on a smaller scale. So hope that helps out. If you want to see more information, just go to edmagz.com or biologymagnets.com.